This is the design for a space behind the house. It features a deck or boardwalk running along here, which enters an area of crushed granite with fountain. There's a safety railing with a kickboard running all the way around here, because on the right hand side, as I look at it, that grassed area there is lower by about 1/4 metre than the grassed area up here. And we have a client who is wheelchair bound. What we want to do is to use the fact that when you're designing in gCADPlus, you're modelling the true world. What I want to do is to check clearances. So I brought in a block. The block includes a circle indicating the space required for someone in a wheelchair to move. So what I'm going to do now is use the gCADPlus copy along line tool. I'm going to pick that symbol. It says select the plant symbol to copy. Well, I'm using not a plant symbol but a different one. Now I'm asked to pick the path, so I do that. Now I'm asked to input a start distance for a copy and then a spacing distance. Well, let's say we want to just test it out every 3 metres to see how we're going for clearance. So we do that, and the copy along a line copies along the symbol along the polyline like so, and clearly we have access and movement for somebody in a wheelchair through this area. The grassed area is available and is contiguous with the area of crushed granite through here, so able-bodied people, one could have parties and whatever here, but people in a wheelchair are still part of the action using this design. The other area of interest is that when one is putting in a ramp to accommodate people in a wheelchair, you want a very shallow gradient. The gradient needs to be not less than 1 to 15, so that provides a nice gentle ramp down there to a landing area and gives access to the tool shed and an entrance to the front of the property as well. The design here is focused on the needs of someone in a wheelchair, utilising the space much better than they were able to. Originally there were steps down and the client could not utilise that rear area at all. So the take-home lesson is to make sure that you remember you are modelling the real world. You can take dimensions from your model if you need to, and I've begun doing that. I'll turn on the dimension layer and you may be able to see out to the right here I have some dimensions for the deck and for the boardwalk itself and the radius of the circle for the crushed granite. So I'm taking my dimensions directly off the model. Say, for the sake of argument, if I wanted to dimension the tool shed there, I first make sure that I've got an appropriate dimension style set as current. I've got one called arc style, and then I can, and in fact I need to switch back to the style standard. So I'll come back in here, dimension style standard, and I'll take my dimensions from the model. Linear dimensioning from the end of the tool shed there to the end there, and I'll come out here and my number appears like so. There's a comma there, 5125 and a comma. I would prefer to go into dimensions, dimension style and units and change that to 0 and the period as the separator, and I'll move that onto a layer called LDIM. Whoops, it's the next one above I want, LDIM. And it's not good practice to have dimensioning symbols crossing one another, so what I'll do is select that, move that one to that position, and similarly move that one off so we're not crossing the boundary line. So my dimensions are going in. I probably need to change the, in this dimension style, sorry, we've got the arc style one and we wanted style standard, and I think that looks a little better.